What first led us to seek help for Alfie was the fact that he wasn't leaving the house, he wasn't going to school, he wasn't going out with his friends, he'd stopped all of his favourite activities and just withdrawn into his den, really, and didn't really get involved in anything. I think I found them on Google, actually. And I think I emailed, and Morris contacted me and ran through what it was about and what they, the aim of helping Alfie and how it worked, and the fact that it involved the parents as well as the child, so that we actually got an understanding of it, really appealed. Because if you do anything through the NHS, it's 6 weeks, it's 6 weeks of half-hour sessions, and then you're meant to be cured, which I don't think always works. It might help some people depending how far gone you are. But what I've learned is Alfie's already had counselling, and I had no idea what he'd learned, what he knew, what the support he'd been given, or steps he'd been given to help him. So the fact that it was all linked in with the parents and the adult, the parents and the child, and that the team behind at Anxend were linking up, just made complete sense, and thought we're going to get more out of this than anything else. You got one, John? No. I guess a specific example really is the fact that Anxend have worked with Alfie from him not coming on the camera to actually getting him reacting and involved with them, taught him the steps he needed to actually get him back in school, and he's now back in school 5 days a week for almost a full day every day, and that is probably the biggest achievement so far. I think on the child side, because I've obviously sat with Alfie on all the sessions because he won't let me go, my favourite part was explaining that was the short slides were brilliant, but it was the one explaining the brain, and if I can get the wording right, it's the amygdala that Gracie taught us about, that was known as the armadillo, and it's the way things were put into a context that Alfie could understand, and how his brain was working. And kind of once you understand that, everything else started making sense. So on the child side, I would say that was just brilliant. On the adult side, on the parent coach bit, is just talking things through with Julie and telling her what had gone in the week. She could then come back to us and tell us what kind of new methods and new ways of looking at it, and almost explaining to us why he'd behave like he was. So it's not him being naughty, it's a reaction to whatever. And I thought that was really key on the parent side, understanding where the behaviour's coming from and why, because then we could react differently to it, and encourage him to kind of, I don't know what the words are, encourage him to kind of regulate himself, not punish him, and then we were able to move on from it, type thing. So don't think on the parent side there was anything really challenging. Julie was very good at being honest with us and making us be honest with ourselves, but I wouldn't say it was overly challenging. On the child side, I think the challenging bit was the number of slides, but they were all really important. So maybe, I don't know if it's easier to break them up a little into 3 sections, but then obviously that would make the course maybe a bit longer, because towards the end Alfie's like, oh, not another PowerPoint slide. So we had to do a countdown as to how many were left, but that could be more his ADHD and the concentration and everything else. So that was probably the only thing. Okay, so what we've noticed the changes are since working with Anxend were very small changes to start with, but quite significant. So first of all, things like he wasn't confident to come on the camera, which now he's bouncing around on the camera all the time. He wouldn't engage to start with. He did engage within a fair few weeks with Gracie. The good thing was Anxend tried different ways to get him engaged till they found the right one. They didn't give up, which was lovely. At home, the changes were small to start with. Well, what a lot of people would probably class as insignificant, but to us they were quite big. And it was just that coming out of his den, starting to come out with us to places, even if it was just out for a walk. It was major for us. Started going to cafes, started going back to grandma and grandpa's to see his dad. Started actually wanting to go to the shops to buy stuff, like coming and helping me do the food shop, coming to help get his water from the shop. Then I think as we moved on, he started going to his friends again and interacting with his friends. He went on holiday and was actually able to go out every day on holiday. Obviously then in September, when he started his new school, he started going to school for a couple of lessons a day, and we've slowly built that up. I think that gave him more confidence. And now he does come out quite a lot to different places. Still have a few wobbly days, but he's got the steps to use. And sometimes we have to think about what it is that he's done that week and think, do you know what, let's give him a day off and not push him today. Because with him, because he's actually chosen to increase the number of lessons he's doing at school himself. We were only meant to be doing 3 up to the end of this term, 4 for the next half term, 5 after February, and he's already starting to do 5 now. He's pushed himself using the steps to do that. So yes, there's been so many changes. I've probably missed loads of them. Well, things we couldn't do was go out as a family. We couldn't really go on holiday. I couldn't go out when I had him for more than an hour because I couldn't leave him. And now he goes on holiday more regularly with his dad than with me at the moment, because I've tried to take the pressure off. He loves where he goes with his dad, so we've just stopped with that for a little bit. And then just getting out of the house again. You know, going out as a family was just a no-no. But just recently I ended up out with Katie, my daughter, and Alfie, which I was just saying to Julie and Gracie, I've not done properly for a year, really, if not longer. So it's just really has changed. And when he does actually go to his dad's, I can then actually go out as well. So yeah, some major changes. I probably feel fairly confident now at managing his anxiety in the future, partly because of the way we understand his behaviour now, and his kind of reactions to things, but also because I've been with him on the child side. I know the steps as well, so I can remind him and prompt him as well, and help him use the steps and explain to him what's actually going on in his brain, with what Gracie's shown him on the slide. So yeah, fairly confident. To other parents, I would say, being honest, it is expensive, but it is the best thing I did. I wasn't going to get this amount of help from anywhere else, the NHS, Barnardo's, anything. And the fact that there are 2 sides to it, you can pick whether you do just the child side, just the parent course. I think the 2 together work so well. I understand him more. He understands himself more. We've been able to, or the coaches have been able to help us put steps in place to help him. They've helped us with tactics to use. And the child coach has just supported him all the way through and never gave up on him. So it is the best thing I ever did. Not as easy, and in one respect, because obviously I work and I'm trying to run back and forth from school and pick the kids up. I think it depends what else you have going on in your life. I struggled because I technically get an hour for lunch, so we probably could have done it in the evening, but luckily my work was flexible. And obviously some weeks I had my hour session, then I'm having other meetings at school, or collecting Alfie from school towards the end and things like that. So it's been a little bit more of a juggle, but it was worth doing. If we hadn't have had Anxend's help, I think I would have had a breakdown. I think Alfie wouldn't be in school. He would be tucked away in his den, not coming out, because we did get an appointment with Bernardo's, but by the time we got the appointment and he couldn't leave the house, I couldn't get him there, so they just signed us straight off as they couldn't help him. So I think we just would have been on our own, struggling, and it just would have really had a detrimental effect on the whole family, really. It's seeking help and getting that understanding of what anxiety is. I'm not sure whether you get that through the NHS or anything. They might try and help the child, but they wouldn't give you as parents any guidance. So it's looking for something like Anxend, where you get the support, the help and the guidance. Yeah, I think my view of anxiety has changed, because I don't think if you don't suffer from it as severely as some people, I don't think you really fully understand it and why they can't, as I used to say to myself sometimes, just pull your big girl knickers up and get on with it type thing. But it isn't always that easy. And especially for children, where, as I've learned, the front part of their brain isn't kind of fully developed. So you're asking them to do something that actually they really physically can't do. So, and I didn't realise how badly it could affect some people. So yeah, I think my view has changed. Only that the team behind are just amazing.